We humans live on Earth. A simple statement, hard to argue with, because, well, it's true. Humans do live on Earth, just not exactly in the way we think. Like every land-dwelling creature, we occupy only about 30% of the planet's surface. So how can we claim to live on Earth when in reality we cling to just a third of it? We inhabit the parts where survival is possible, where the environment doesn't crush us, where our technology functions, where the air is breathable and life can flourish as we know it. But the remaining 70%? Those rules don't apply there. I'm talking about the ocean. And though land and ocean are both parts of Earth, they might as well be two different worlds. One of them, despite all our ambitions, refuses to be conquered. So today, we're stepping away from the usual iceberg format mysteries and trying something new. Welcome to our latest video, Horrors of the Ocean. If you enjoy this format, say if the video hits around 10,000 likes, we'll dive even deeper and explore the horrors of outer space next time. So, shall we descend? Anyone who has ever wondered about the bottomless depths knows one simple truth. The farther you get from the surface, the stranger the creatures become. Down where sunlight never reaches, not even at noon, dwell beings that look less like animals and more like something pulled straight from a nightmare. In the eternal darkness of the deep sea lurk creatures that awaken a primal kind of fear. One such creature is the sea spider, a bizarre arthropod from the order Pantopoda. This group includes around 1,300 species found throughout the world's oceans. Sea spiders live everywhere, from shallow coastal waters to the icy black void of ocean trenches nearly 7 kilometers down, and their appearance only amplifies the sense of unease. Their bodies are tiny, almost comically small, while their legs are long, thin, and unsettlingly disproportionate. Typically, a sea spider has 4 pairs of walking legs, 8 limbs, each 3 to 4 times longer than its body. But some deep-sea species go beyond even that. There are true many-legged monsters down there, with 5 or even 6 pairs of limbs, giving them up to 12 legs and a thoroughly infernal look. Inside those spindly legs lies almost everything that in other animals would be packed inside the torso. The gut, reproductive organs, nerve cords, even the blood vessels all stretch out into those hollow, elongated limbs. The tiny body simply isn't big enough to hold the machinery of life. But perhaps the most unsettling detail is how this creature eats. A sea spider's mouthparts have evolved into a long, needle-like proboscis jutting forward from its head. With it, the creature pierces its prey and slowly drains it dry. Its victims are usually the motionless and defenseless, sponges, coral polyps, soft-bodied mollusks. The sea spider doesn't tear flesh. It feeds like a vampire, leisurely sipping the life fluids of its prey through that tubular, syringe-like snout. And it moves nothing like the animals we're used to. Its muscles are so tiny that, in the smallest species, each muscle consists of a single cell. With machinery like that, speed simply isn't an option. The sea spider inches along, leg by spindly leg, and sometimes freezes in place for hours, waiting for the right moment to strike. Watching one of these creatures walk is like watching footage in extreme slow motion. And because such a sluggish predator needs barely any oxygen, nature stripped it of complex respiratory organs altogether. No gills, no lungs. The sea spider breathes with its entire body. Oxygen seeps through its thin, chitinous shell directly into its tissues. Even its circulatory system behaves in ways that seem almost alien. The weak heart barely moves the blood at all. Instead, rhythmic contractions of the gut help push the hemolymph through the sprawling vessels inside its legs. But such extreme specialization comes with a price. Pantopods have fallen into an evolutionary trap. To move faster, they'd need larger bodies and stronger muscles. But any such upgrade would destroy the delicate balance of their design. A bigger sea spider couldn't absorb enough oxygen. A heavier body would snap its fragile legs beneath it. Every attempt to become stronger or quicker would doom the creature instead of helping it survive. So instead of chasing speed, sea spiders embraced absolute energy conservation. They live on the bare minimum. Their metabolism is so slow that a pantopod can go for months without eating, simply waiting out hard times, conserving scraps of energy until the next opportunity drifts by. Where any other predator would starve long ago, the sea spider persists in stillness, outlasting the depths by doing almost nothing at all. Spider-like silhouette, pantopods are not close relatives of land spiders. They have small, claw-like chelicera beside the mouth that resemble a spider's fangs, but their evolutionary paths diverged nearly 500 million years ago. Pantopods are a separate, ancient branch of arthropods, true relics of the primordial seas. Yet the deep ocean holds not only ancient life. In its darkness, new forms are still waiting to be discovered. One of these newly uncovered creatures is Promachocrinus frigarius, a free-swimming, stalkless sea lily drifting through the icy abyss of the Southern Ocean. Its round, bulbous body resembles a strawberry, which is exactly why its Latin name includes frigarius, from frigaria, strawberry. Its coloring ranges from deep crimson to a rich royal purple. From its center extend 20 long arms, delicate rays that can span up to 20 centimeters. Some of these arms are covered in dense, feathery filaments, soft like underwater plumage, while others are knobbly and bare, lacking those intricate extensions. At the tips of these many frilled limbs are tiny, claw-like hooks that allow the creature to grip the seafloor sediments. Primacocrinus frigarius inhabits Antarctic waters around the continental shelf and nearby islands, recorded at depths between 60 and 1,170 meters. Only a single specimen has ever been captured, near the South Sandwich Islands. All of the descriptive material for this species comes from scientific expeditions conducted between 2007 and 2018. The dispersal of its larvae depends heavily on powerful ocean currents, which is why scientists believe this species is circumantarctic, spread all around the frozen southern waters, though known so far from only a handful of samples due to the extreme environment. This new species, Primacocrinus frigarius, became one of 8 now recognized species in the genus Primacocrinus. For decades, all Antarctic sea lilies in this group were thought to be a single species, Primacocrinus kerguelensis, the familiar 20-armed star. But now we know, 6 species actually have 20 arms, and 2 species have 10. The discovery of the new species was made possible largely thanks to molecular analysis. Scientists sequenced mitochondrial genes from all collected specimens of Primacocrinus. DNA revealed what morphology had been hiding. The one species we thought we knew was actually 8 genetically distinct ones. As co-author Professor Greg Rouse put it, we've gone from one fictitious strawberry star to 8 species. And many of these species are nearly indistinguishable by appearance alone. Without gene sequencing, they would have remained hidden. Researchers say the grand exploration of the southern seas is only just beginning. The immense, untouched wilderness of the Southern Ocean demands large-scale sampling to uncover its full biodiversity. In 1879, only 1 species of Primacocrinus was known. By 2023, there were 8, and the chances are high that more are waiting, still unseen, in the deep. But the ocean isn't filled only with strange life forms hiding on the seafloor. Sometimes its mysteries don't just lurk, they speak. One of the most famous acoustic riddles of the deep is the 52 Hz whale, a creature of an unknown species, tracked solely by the sound of its unusual song, a song sung at 52 Hz. In the autumn of 1989, as the Cold War was fading into history, American military systems monitoring submarine activity in the Pacific suddenly picked up a peculiar signal, a sound at 52 Hz. Something similar was detected again, and again, over the next 3 years. At the time, nobody even considered the possibility that the source might be a whale. After all, typical whale vocalizations fall between 15 and 20 Hz. Before you is the spectrogram of that very sound. The fundamental frequency and the first harmonic aren't visible, they're too faint to register. But the second harmonic stands out clearly at 52 Hz. It was this signature that gave the mysterious creature its name, the 52 Hz whale. The third harmonic is visible too, though weaker. For a long time, few believed it could be a whale at all. The frequency was far too unusual. And whales, after all, are social animals. They communicate, they respond to each other. Their songs form a language of the deep. But 52 Hz is not their language. Other whales may hear the sound, but they likely don't recognize it as a voice like their own. And that is where the tragedy lies, a unique voice calling into the darkness with no one who can answer. After the Cold War ended in 1992, the US Navy declassified the recordings and handed them over to oceanographers, along with the equipment needed to study them. Scientists immediately began investigating. They discovered that the creature moves at less than 4 kilometers per hour, following yearly migrations from the coast of California to the Aleutian Islands and the Kodiak Archipelago. In a single day, the whale travels 30 to 70 kilometers. Over an entire season, its route can range from just over 700 kilometers to more than 11,000. Its song is recorded every year from August to December, sometimes up to 20 hours a day. Since 1992, the whale's song has been gradually dropping in pitch, something scientists attribute either to aging or the onset of sexual maturity. Yet to this day, no one has been able to determine exactly what species this mysterious singer belongs to. One hypothesis claims it's an unusual blue whale. Another suggests it might be a fin whale. It could even be a hybrid, a rare cross between the two. There is no definitive answer, but one thing is certain. Baleen whales live 60 to 90 years. Which means the 52 Hz whale could continue singing for decades still. Over 30 years have already passed since the first recording. In 2012, an intriguing theory surfaced, voiced by a group of death activists through the New York Times. They suggested the whale itself might be deaf, producing unusual sounds because it cannot hear the typical frequencies of its kind. The idea remains unproven, but it feels surprisingly plausible. It's important to remember that the ocean is full of strange sounds, and most of them remain unexplained. For example, west of Costa Rica, hydrophones had picked up several types of signals: moaning 28 Hz calls, rising cries between 22 and 32 Hz, and impulsive noises of unknown origin. Off the coast of Australia, researchers routinely detect modulated sounds at 22 to 29 Hz. Sometimes, however, the mysteries can be solved. Back in the 1950s, American submarines heard odd, rattling signals near California and Hawaii. Only decades later did scientists discover the source, a perfectly ordinary whale, the pygmy bride's whale. But overall, the acoustic behavior of baleen whales is still poorly understood. Some sounds are produced only in certain seasons, some only by males. It's the males who most often sing, creating rhythmic, repeating sequences of sounds. Blue whales, for instance, produce what scientists call type A, B, and D calls. The first two are exclusively male vocals and often merge into full songs, a trait shared with fin whales. It's believed that these songs play a role in reproduction, perhaps attracting females or marking territory. Yet even in humpback whales, the species studied most thoroughly, the true functions of their songs remain partly mysterious. And not everyone believes the 52 Hz whale is truly alone. Renowned neurobiologist Christopher Clark points out that whale populations have distinct dialects. Their frequencies can vary widely, so it's entirely possible that other whales can hear him, and maybe even understand him. And in 2010, off the coast of California, sensors detected several separate sources producing sounds similar to the famous 52 Hz call. This led researchers to suspect that there may be not just one, but a small, elusive group of whales with a unique singing frequency. But lonely whales are only a tiny fragment of the anomalies hidden in the ocean's abyss. The deeper we descend, the stranger the inhabitants become. Among the most unusual are the creatures of the Cetomymidae family, beings whose entire lives unfold at depths forever beyond the reach of human eyes. Cetomymids belong to the order Baryciformes. These deep-sea ray-finned fish live mostly in the southern hemisphere, distributed in a circumpolar ring. They inhabit staggering depths, from 1,000 to more than 3,500 meters below the surface. The largest species grow to about 40 centimeters, but most are far smaller, around 20. Their bodies are soft, loose, wrapped in thin, scaleless skin. They lack pelvic fins, and all fins are devoid of spines. They have no swim bladder, and no photophores, no bioluminescent organs. Adults are fiery red or orange, yet in total darkness these colors vanish. The fish appear pitch black. Their eyes are drastically reduced, tiny, incapable of forming a clear image. Instead of sight, the fish rely on a highly developed lateral line. Large sensory pores run along the head and sides, detecting even the faintest vibrations in the water. This allows them to navigate and hunt in absolute darkness. The family is famous for its extreme sexual dimorphism. Adult females are known as flabby whalefish, with soft bodies shaped almost like miniature whales. Males, however, are completely different, called big-nose fish for their dramatically elongated snouts. And the larvae are something else entirely: tape-tails, delicate creatures with long, streaming tails. For decades, larval forms were classified as a completely separate family, the Mirapinidae. Only recently did scientists discover the truth. All three forms are simply different life stages of the same organism. During metamorphosis, the skeleton and internal organs are radically rearranged. In developing females, an enormous mouth and a highly expandable stomach form, perfect for swallowing prey whole. Males undergo an even stranger transformation. After reaching sexual maturity, their mouths essentially fuse shut. Their esophagus and stomach disappear. Feeding stops completely. Their bodies instead grow a massive liver, the final stored wealth from their voracious larval stage, meant to fuel them for the rest of their lives. Cetomymid larvae live near the surface, at less than 200 meters depth. Their tiny bodies rarely exceed 7 centimeters. It has no scales at all, and not a single fin ray to speak of. But its tail? That's a different story. The tail fin stretches into a thin, delicate thread, often longer than the creature's entire body. In some species, the tail isn't a tail at all, but a set of wispy, hair-like filaments drifting behind it like underwater cobwebs. The larvae are voracious little things, feeding on tiny copepods and other plankton until their bellies glow with drifting life. All that food gets stored away in the liver and later becomes the lifelong energy supply for the transforming male. Members of the Cetomymidae family perform daily vertical migrations, nature's own deep-sea elevator ride. At night, they rise toward the mesopelagic zone, up to 700 meters, catching whatever faint light trickles from above. At dawn, they sink back into the darkness. Scientists believe they spawn in the richer upper waters, above 1,000 meters, and the clues line up. Larvae are found only near the surface, while adults never venture upward again. And it's down there, far, far below where sunlight dares to reach, deeper than 5 kilometers, that one of the strangest and eeriest creatures of the ocean waits in silence: the spiderfish, Batipteroides longipes. This bottom-dwelling oddity lives on the abyssal plains of the Atlantic, a place where the water never rises above freezing and can plunge to -9 degrees. The pressure is so immense it would crush a human body instantly. But Batipteroides? It's built for this, a true deep-sea loner. It grows up to 22 centimeters, not impressive at first glance, but size isn't the point. Its 2 pectoral fins and tail fin stretch into impossibly long rays, reaching all the way down to the sea floor. Together, they turn the fish into a living tripod. That iconic pose earned it the nickname the tripod of the abyss, or more famously, the spiderfish. And there it stands, motionless, suspended just above the ocean floor, perched on its spindly supports, waiting. Its forward-facing pectoral fins act like sensitive antennae, picking up the faintest tremor in the water. These aren't tools for swimming, they're hunting instruments, tuned to detect life in absolute darkness. Batipteroides feeds on tiny planktonic crustaceans. It doesn't chase, it doesn't attack, it doesn't pursue, it simply waits, frozen in place. And when something wanders a little too close, the spiderfish strikes with a lightning-fast snap of its head. This behavior is the result of millions of years of evolution in a world where movement is a luxury and energy is worth more than life itself. It doesn't swim, it lies in wait. Batipteroides longipes is one of the deepest living creatures on the planet. Its anatomy, its lifestyle, its very world make it a true monster of the abyss, a monster that will never rise to the light. But even among the denizens of the ocean's eternal night, there are beings even larger, even stranger, and far more mysterious. One of them is the colossal squid, a titan predator of the deep. Its scientific name is Mesonicoteuthis hamiltoni, an endemic of the Southern Ocean, a creature humanity knew frighteningly little about until recently. The species was first described in 1925 by British zoologist Guy Robson. And what was the basis of this grand discovery? Only 2 tentacles. 2 severed arms found inside the stomach of a sperm whale caught near the South Shetland Islands. For decades after that, there were no confirmed sightings, no specimens, no photographs, nothing. Only in the 1970s were the larvae finally identified, and in 1979, a trawl net hauled up the first adult, a female with a mantle 117 centimeters long. The first complete specimen wasn't caught until 2005 near South Georgia, and the first video of a living colossal squid in its natural habitat appeared only in 2025, just 1 month ago, released on the YouTube channel Schmidt Ocean. Exactly 1 century after the species' first mention. This is an enormous animal. The maximum recorded length is about 10 meters, with some estimates putting the upper limit at 13 to 14 meters. Its mass can reach half a ton. Its mantle alone stretches up to 3 meters, with walls up to 6 centimeters thick. The fins are huge, powerful structures. When fully spread, they take up nearly half the mantle's length and give the squid its distinctive heart-shaped silhouette. Its eyes are among the largest in the entire animal kingdom, reaching 27 centimeters across. And then there are the weapons, long feeding tentacles tipped with clubs studded with up to 25 massive hooks. The other 8 arms are thick and muscular, lined with suckers and additional hooks. Every part of this creature is built to seize and hold prey. Its beak is hard, heavy, and capable of tearing through the flesh of large fish. The colossal squid lives at depths from 200 to 2,000 meters, mostly south of the Antarctic convergence. Down there, the water hovers between -2 and +2 degrees Celsius. It can float effortlessly in the water column without swimming at all, thanks to ammonium chloride stored in its tissues. This gives it neutral buoyancy, a perfect trick for a creature that prefers to hunt by ambush rather than by chase. It can hang there, motionless, waiting for something unlucky enough to drift into its reach. Its diet is built around mesopelagic fish, mostly glowing lanternfish of the Myctophidae family, as well as paralepids and other squid. Young squid feed on zooplankton. Adults take the passive approach. They simply suspend themselves in the cold dark and snatch passing prey with their powerful tentacles. But despite its size, the colossal squid is far from invincible. Its number 1 enemy, the sperm whale. In the stomachs of these giants, scientists find everything from pieces of small individuals to fragments of enormous beaks. In some regions, up to 60% of a sperm whale's diet may consist of this very species. Other predators include orcas, sharks, large seals, and even albatrosses. Yet the squid's biology remains one enormous question mark. We know very little about its life cycle, reproduction, or lifespan. Maturity begins when the mantle reaches around 1 meter in length. A single female may carry over 4 million oocytes. It's believed that spawning happens at the end of the Antarctic winter or the beginning of spring. Almost everything we know about the colossal squid comes from scattered finds and indirect evidence, mostly from dissecting sperm whales. Direct observations of this creature alive in its natural environment are almost non-existent. It remains one of the ocean's most elusive, most mysterious predators. We fear the things we cannot see in the deep, but sometimes the ocean's most terrifying secrets don't rise from below. They come from the surface. Sometimes the terror of the ocean doesn't rise from the depths. Sometimes it drifts silently on the surface. In early January 2003, off the coast of Western Australia, fishermen spotted a strange vessel. It was drifting slowly through open water, its engine barely running, as if it were moving on its own. It was the High-Aimed 6, a fishing schooner that had left southern Taiwan back in October and had been missing ever since. When Australian authorities boarded the ship, the truth was chilling. Not a single crew member remained. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no evidence of an accident. Just empty cabins, rotting fish in the holds, and a haunting, perfect silence. The ship was in working order, fuel tanks full, provisions, water, and the crew's personal belongings were all in place. In one cabin, 7 toothbrushes stood neatly side by side. Clothes were folded with care. It was as if the crew had simply vanished, evaporated. No lifeboats, no distress signals, no notes, no clues. Just an empty ship, sailing without a crew. High-Aimed 6 belonged to a Taiwanese owner named Sai Huang Shuer. The crew consisted of 12 men. Captain Chen Taijian and engineer Lin Zhong Li were Taiwanese. The rest were young sailors from Indonesia. The ship had departed from the port of Luichu on October 31st, 2002. The last contact with the captain was recorded in early December, and then silence. When the ship was found, it was roughly 250 kilometers from the Australian town of Broome. It was towed into port. Inspection only deepened the mystery. No signs of violence, struggle, or wreckage. No logical explanation for why all 12 men would simply disappear. The holds were full of fish. The ship had been actively fishing, not smuggling. Weather in the region had been calm. The vessel was functioning perfectly. Everything suggested the crew had abandoned ship voluntarily. But why? The investigation began immediately, and theories abounded. A storm, a pirate attack, a mechanical failure, or a botched smuggling operation. None of them held up. And then one fact gave the investigators a clue. In the first 10 days of January, while the ship was drifting, a mobile phone was active on the Indonesian island of Bali. The phone belonged to the ship's chief engineer, Lin Yu Jun Lee. From January 1st to 10th, it made 87 calls. One thing was clear, someone from the High-Aimed 6 was alive, and they were in Indonesia. Later, Indonesian authorities apprehended one of the crew members, a man from northern Sulawesi. During questioning, he confessed. The captain and the engineer had been killed. It happened on December 8th. According to him, the remaining 9 Indonesian sailors abandoned ship and returned to Java. But why did the mutiny occur? What triggered it? Who exactly committed the murders? On these questions, the arrested man offered no answers, and it seemed no one else intended to speak. No trace of the other crew members was ever found. The fate of the captain, the engineer, and the 9 sailors, supposedly returned home, remains unknown. No bodies, no confessions, no official charges. Taiwanese and Indonesian authorities put the rest of the crew on wanted lists, but nothing publicly came of it. The High-Aimed 6 sat grounded off the Australian coast for nearly a year. In 2004, it was dismantled for scrap metal, and only a dark blot in the archives of maritime mysteries remains. A reminder that once, across the Pacific, a ghost ship drifted with empty cabins, holds full of fish, and a secret the sea never revealed. Fast forward to February 2016. Off the coast of the Philippines, fishermen spotted a drifting sailboat. No flag, its bowsprit broken, mast snapped. It glided over the waves, alone, silent, as if abandoned. When they boarded the half-ruined cabin, they found a man. He was slumped over the radio transmitter. Around him, tins of food, scattered clothing, a logbook. The body was mummified. He looked as if he had been trying to reach someone, but hadn't made it. The man was Manfred Frieds Bayeret, a 59-year-old German yachtsman. An experienced sailor, decades of sea behind him. He had set out to live on the ocean and never returned. The yacht was named Sayo. It was first spotted by participants in a sailing race in the South China Sea, but only a month later did 2 fishermen tow it to the port of Barabo, 40 nautical miles from shore. By then, everything aboard had frozen in time. The radio, GPS, and all equipment remained untouched. No sign of struggle, theft, or intrusion. Only absolute solitude, silence, and the captain's body, seemingly abandoned by time itself. Philippine authorities ruled out foul play. An autopsy revealed the cause of death, a sudden heart attack. In the tropical climate, with the heat and the salt of the sea, his body dried naturally, turning into a mummy. He died as he had lived, at sea, completely alone. Judging by his posture, death came suddenly, over the radio, in the middle of an attempt to send a distress signal. Manfred Bayer was born in Germany. He worked as an insurance agent. Later, he sold everything and set off to sail with his wife Claudia. Together, they circumnavigated the globe, but in 2008, they parted ways. In 2010, Claudia died of cancer in Martinique. After her death, Manfred continued his journey alone. Friends remembered that he didn't make contact for nearly a year. His last Facebook post? A birthday greeting to himself in 2015. After that, silence. On board the Sayo, authorities found old photographs, letters, family albums. Among them, a message to Claudia. Your death broke me. May your soul rest in peace. One day we will meet again. Your Manfred. These words became the only epilogue he left behind. Over the years, Bayer had crossed oceans, visited Majorca, the Caribbean, Cape Verde. But where exactly he was before his death, no one knows. There are no port records, no coordinates of his final route, only the sea, and a vessel drifting into nowhere. Some speculated that he might have died long before being discovered, that the yacht had drifted for years. But the forensic examination confirmed. He died only a week before the boat was found. The mast had likely broken afterward, when wind and waves began to tear apart what remained of the unmanned vessel. This story sparked countless theories: depression, voluntary isolation, suicide. But there's no proof, only facts: a heart attack, solitude, death. Manfred Bayer's story is more than a maritime mystery. It is a point where the human intersects with the impersonal force of nature. A vessel abandoned by its owner slowly becomes something that terrifies, a lifeless object drifting in silence, alone, helpless, worn by time. These are the images at the heart of submechanophobia, the fear of large human-made objects abandoned underwater. It's not just about depth or darkness. When machinery sinks beneath the waves, it stops being mere metal and gears. It becomes a reminder that nothing lasts forever, and that the ocean always takes its due. The fear comes from the object itself: a ship, a submarine, a statue, a piece of machinery. Something that was once part of the human world, now abandoned on the sea floor. Forgotten, buried in silt, warped by time and water. These objects stir unease because they feel alien to the underwater environment. Their shapes are unnatural, foreign to the world beneath the waves. They seem motionless, yet your brain can't stop searching for movement. Even those who don't suffer from submechanophobia can feel uneasy at the sight of a rusting shipwreck, an overgrown statue, or concrete slabs scattered across the sand. One of the most famous and terrifying examples, the Titanic. The ship rests nearly 4 kilometers below the surface. Its hull is split in two. Decks tilt at impossible angles. Darkness fills every compartment. Spaces that were once alive with passengers and crew now form decayed tunnels. Inside, there is absolute silence, a frozen moment of catastrophe, never to change. Divers who have ventured there often describe a profound discomfort. It's as if something of the ship remains, not physically, but in the very sense of presence. Another example, the Italian liner Andrea Doria, which sank off the US coast in 1956. Its hull lies on its side, access is difficult. Inside, destroyed interiors, twisted staircases, remnants of furniture. Visually, it looks like a set from a disaster movie. But underwater, in limited oxygen and constant darkness, it becomes reality. And that reality presses down on you. American submarines Thresher and Scorpion sank in the 1960s. Both carried nuclear reactors, both lost their crews. Their hulls crushed by pressure, plating twisted, hundreds of tons of steel from sealed compartments resting at the bottom. These submarines are not just machines, they are monuments to the lost, sealed vessels holding unknown contents at depths where humans were never meant to tread. The Soviet submarine K-278 Komsomolets sank in the Barents Sea. On board was a nuclear reactor and torpedoes armed with nuclear warheads. Today, it rests more than 1.5 kilometers down. Around it, cold, darkness, crushing pressure. The metal corrodes, equipment decays, access is restricted. Yet even knowing that a nuclear apparatus lies on the seabed evokes unease. The unknown, the danger, the uncontrollability. All of this makes such objects deeply unsettling. Then there's another type of object, underwater statues. Take the Christ of the Abyss, off the coast of Italy. A massive bronze figure with outstretched arms stands on the sea floor. Around it, algae sway, scattered light filters through murky water. The figure looks human, but unnatural. The same eerie feeling arises at the Underwater Museum in Cancun, where hundreds of human sculptures rest on the seabed. Some stand, some lie down, others have worn faces. They don't move, yet their presence feels alive. That sense of someone or something is central to submechanophobia. Objects are still, but your brain refuses to believe it, especially underwater, where perspective distorts, silence dominates, and even the flicker of a flashlight can amplify anxiety. There are military examples too. The Soviet submarine K-27, deliberately sunk in the Kara Sea, carries 2 inactive nuclear reactors. The vessel rests on the seabed in an area without regular inspections. No one truly knows its condition or whether it leaks. It is an uncontrolled object, and that alone is disturbing. Sunken cities and technological relics evoke similar feelings. After a dam was built in Turkey, part of the ancient city Hasankeyf remained underwater. Fragments of houses, arches, streets, all submerged. In China, the flooded city of Xicheng preserves entire streets, gates, columns, and staircases. Once vibrant, these objects are now dead. That deadness feels magnified underwater. Submechanophobia is not fear of water. It is fear of what lies within it. Distorted perception, broken natural context, the visual sense of death and decay, the impossibility of control. These are the foundations of submechanophobia. It is not the water that terrifies. It is what lurks in it. What was meant to stay above water, but now rests below. What humans once built and then abandoned. Now it lies in darkness, motionless, silent, and it will remain there forever. That's all for today. A huge thank you to everyone who watched this video to the very end. This is an experimental format for us, not an iceberg video, so your support means a lot. Please give this video a like and share your thoughts. Did you enjoy it? Should we make more like this? And with these 2 hints, you can check out our other videos too.